Here's a cool way to build independence between your adjacent fingers. If you've ever needed some help separating fingers 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, then today's Etude and supporting exercises are going to help you do just that. If you haven't seen me before, I'm Chris Brooks. I'm a published author of 16 books that have helped 250,000 people with their guitar technique. This series is called Guitar Alchemy, and today's episode is Finger Independence Day. Here's the Etude I'm going to break down for today's lesson. You'll see tabs on the screen very soon, but there's also the option to grab the guitar profile, PDF, and backing tracks from each of the Guitar Alchemy episodes in one folder for a one-time fee of $3. Hit the link below for that. And while you're clicking, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more videos. So the Etude you just heard moves around a chord progression using chord tones and semitone neighbour notes to create that melody. To prime your fingers before I break down the Etude, here are some chromatic drills that will increase your finger independence before we do the bigger fretboard jumps in the Etude. First, here's an example from my speed and coordination book that uses fingers 2-1-2, 3-2-3, and 4-3-4 along a chromatic row. As I move up through these finger pairs, watch out for how I don't stack all of the fingers down, because there's no mechanical advantage to accumulating increased tension and decreased mobility. I can move that idea across multiple strings, and that gives me a few options to explore when it comes to picking. I can use alternate picking beginning on a downstroke, reverse it and begin on an upstroke, or I can economy pick through all of the string changes. The fingering stays the same with each option, but you'll find that the requirements are different when it comes to synchronizing with the pick. The descending version of the previous drill can also be picked in 3 ways. This time, the finger pairs will be 3-4-3, 2-3-2, and 1-2-1. For those of you who've purchased access to the Guitar Alchemy Extras folder, you'll find another 3 variations of these drills to try in your practice. But for now, let's crack open the Etude for today. Here it is, played again, slower. The first 2 sections are based on a minor triad shape with 1 string skip. Here it is with the A minor triad. The figure itself is created by playing a chord tone, then a semitone below that, then the chord tone again. Some of these neighbour notes are in the A minor scale as well, and others are just chromatic passing tones. I do this going up and down, finishing on the E note below the A root note. To even out the distribution of finger pairs, you'll probably notice that I began and finished with fingers 2 and 3, then used the other finger pairs on the G and E strings. For the picking of this section, starting on a downstroke results in outside picking for all of the string changes, while starting on an up sets up inside picking. My own picking preference just naturally gravitated to sweeping the first string change and then staying with the inside picking version for the rest. Section 2 of the Etude works around a D minor triad this time, using the same shape as before. But this time I move a little further up the triad on the high E string and I finish on the G string. Since I used each adjacent finger pair on the high E string, this part can also be isolated to practice the position jumps I just did. So when you do this, try to avoid overtly sliding into each position. It's okay if it happens in the moment, but aim to land confidently in each new spot. For section 3 of the Etude, I play a repeated figure based on diminished 7th arpeggios. The chords underneath this section are F diminished 7, F sharp diminished 7, and D sharp diminished 7. The last two are actually inversions of each other, and they create some tension back to the E7 chord in section 4. If you want a lesson on the harmony theory behind neoclassical sounding chord progressions, drop a comment below, and that's something I'll schedule for a later video. For the melody line over these chord changes, there are 10 notes I simply move to match the chord underneath. The shapes are based on this moving diminished 7th arpeggio. Then I add the semitone neighbour notes. Those diminished arpeggios set up a move to the 5 chord of the A minor key in the E7. That's followed by a resolution to the 1 chord A minor triad, and that finishes the Etude. Now, since I finished the last lick on the 11th fret of the G string, I begin section 4 on the G string too. We have an ascending E7 arpeggio with neighbour notes, and that resolves to a high A note on the high E string, which lines up with the chord changes underneath. That position jump to the 16th fret with the 3rd finger is a little tricky, so you'll probably want to look at that fret to get some hand-eye coordination when you're moving there. After that stop on the A minor chord, there's a little tail added on that goes down the A minor triad to the 5th fret of the low E string, and I do the neighbour note thing there as well. The first part of that phrase is the last time I use every finger pair, so that can also be isolated as another practice phrase. Before I bring the full speed clip back, here's the complete Etude at more of a medium tempo with a good picking hand view. I trust you to make your own choices about the picking of this Etude, but my options are in the tab as well. So I hope you enjoy practicing finger independence with this Etude, and I do hope you'll share it with your friends. Like, comment, subscribe, and come back for another episode of Guitar Alchemy soon. Happy shredding.